And today I want to talk about a missing ingredient in some of conflict management research and ways that I think we can improve the research and practice of conflict management. So, when we are building experiments for conflict management, a lot of the experiment itself depends on the questions that the researchers are asking in the first place. And when it comes to purely modern phenomenon, like the effect of a particular smartphone application on conflict outcomes, in those types of situations, everybody who's doing the research has some type of shared idea about that smartphone application. All of the researchers were literally born before the smartphone application was invented. So they have like a shared modern understanding of that smartphone application. But the thing about conflict is that there are aspects of conflict that pertain to historical and anthropological data because conflict is not just a modern phenomenon. And that historical and anthropological understanding then impacts the research questions that are asked. The research question about the smartphone application very well might be helpful, but when we look at historical and anthropological aspects of conflict, that gives us better potential psychological questions to ask related to conflict and cooperation. And it does this partly because we can actually look at societies that are currently peaceful or societies that have certain elements of cooperation, even if they're not wholly peaceful as well, and try to look at what's going on there. And then that can guide our research questions. And I want to give examples pertaining to that specifically. So, I want to give the example today of things we can learn about cooperation from the Maya people. And so the Maya themselves are not a society with a peaceful origins, but they do have certain aspects of cooperation. And modern Maya individuals, who are contemporary Maya individuals that continue to live on, um, hold on to certain aspects of those traditions where we see um, really effective cooperation. And just to say too, for contemporary Maya individuals, some will be very integrated into urban modern society, and then others will kind of hold on to more traditional roots depending on where they live in like more rural settings as well. And so the example I want to give today is about the Maya individuals um, really excellent cooperative way of teaching their kids how to do chores in a way that does not create a power struggle and actually leads to very effective behavior. So, what happens is that when um, when Maya people are helping their kids cooperatively to do the chores, they really focus primarily on modeling, but modeling from a very young age. So since the kids are toddlers, so since they're toddlers, they participate in the different chores um, in a way that matches their ability levels. Now, when they're participating, Maya's Maya have a lot of patience for um, pots and pans flying all over the place, you know, clothes being tossed everywhere. Like this is normal toddler behavior, and they have a lot of patience for that. And their technique is that they're not going to be critical of that. They're going to model how to do it more effectively. occasionally give input about, oh, that was helpful, um, or you do this, but then they're kind of quiet for a period of time. So, not a lot of excessive verbal criticisms and also not a lot of excessive verbal praise. They're going to be pretty quiet and just sort of cooperative and allow that kid to participate on the level that they are able to participate. And what this does is several things. So one is that when the kid later becomes a teenager, they are more open to doing the chore because they had a positive experience cooperating doing the chore. And there's not that negative experience of the power struggle that happens with the parent, which is creating that negativity surrounding the chore itself. Another thing that they do is they're also able to not only help them to be able to do a chore like something checked off of a list, but to be able to notice like why that chore is helpful to the family and how they themselves as children can look around the house to see what needs done and do it unprompted by themselves with autonomy. And more autonomy is given. But the part that pertains to conflict and cooperation is this ability to drop power struggles and how well that actually works. And in order to drop the power struggles, it's a different mentality in your mind where you kind of say, well, of course, the 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 toddler or young child is going to occasionally just throw things. Like that's normal for their development, and we're going to still do this all together. So that's just one example. So based on that, then researchers can pose questions about do households essentially do the laundry more effectively when they cooperate in a manner where they're criticizing each other less and there's less criticism? Does that result in more productive laundry doing? Does a lack of the power struggles result in more volunteering from a child or adolescent in terms of helping out in some way and later with benefits for young adulthood? So these are just examples. But really, what we're doing here is looking at a strength of a certain culture, and then we're asking psychological questions about that. And that gets to more of a helpful, nuanced approach than using just a purely modern psychological lens. Even though I am a behavior psychologist at my core, we need to think about these research questions to make sure that they're the most applicable for what is going to really work when we apply this. So yeah, so that's just a little bit about the Maya and considerations for research questions. And this will be a topic that I will definitely continue to discuss. So thanks for listening.